Greetings, and welcome once again to JC Pilcher's Age of Ornon vlog. Alrighty, trying to get back to where I left off that one time before. I had mentioned knives and how I was going to try to tie them on with my book, and then I got a little stuff mixed in between. But yeah, finally going to get back to that knife point. But before I get on that, last time I talked to you, I was showing off the Cold Steel True Flight Thrower. Really great knife. Really like that. But since then, we've had that day. That day, was it? People have a hard time saying it these days, and so it kind of. Oh yeah, Christmas. That's what it was. Yeah, we had Christmas, and yeah, it was a great day for me because I got Cold Steel. Actually, Cold Steel, the Sure Balance Thrower. There we are. I'll quit covering it up. There we go. The Sure Balance Thrower. It is possibly Cold Steel's heaviest duty knife. It's a massive, massive thing. It's the only knife on Cold Steel's website that didn't have a 5-star rating on all of its reviews, and I was a little worried about it. I read about it, and everyone had their own opinion why it wasn't 5-star. But I thought might as well try it anyway. At least try it for myself. All the ratings are 4 stars. That's not all that bad. So I was happy I got it. I couldn't make heads or tails of it when I threw that thing. I was really struggling with it, and definitely preferred my True Flight thrower right here. But after a little throwing, man, I'm learning it, and I don't know which one it is. It'd be a really great knife, I think, if you did spinning. For me, I typically enjoy doing a no-spin throw. For those who throw knives, they'd understand what I'm talking about. But in essence is, do you throw the knife where it spins into your target, or do you just throw it where it more or less flies straight? I prefer no spin. This new knife is not the best for no spin, unless, well, I shouldn't say that because as I'm learning it, I'm getting a whole lot better. It's just a whole different way of doing it because it's got so much weight out here on the end. But this is not a vlog on knives and knife throwing. If you want that, request it. But in the meantime, I'm trying to tie this in with my Domus-Lux and my stories and all that good stuff. So, it does tie in with Domus-Lux very indirectly. I'll say it's not a direct thing. For those of you who know me through martial arts, you'll find out that it also ties in the same way. One thing I really enjoy is writing, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written some books. But I also enjoy playing my characters. I've done it on a couple of vlogs, and I'd like to do it some in my church and other places as I minister. But I think more than the stories and anything else, I love my characters. And I enjoy just playing them or writing them as much as I can. So one way I like to get into my characters is find a way to connect with them. I've heard of some actors who really use an item, like for Viggo Mortensen in The Lord of the Rings, he used his sword to kind of connect with the character Aragorn. For me, I like to use different things to connect with my characters. Like Burdep, probably my favorite or second favorite character to be. I use martial art. So with Burdep, he knows an art that's called sword dancing, as well as he mastered these elemental stones, is what his people call them. And I kind of liken them to martial arts in a modern context, as a lot of people who learn them learn a lot of form and a lot of katas and forms and things that are really nice looking, but a lot of them, I met a lot of black belts that I'll say I could probably whoop up all over the place when I was white belt. And I'm not saying that there aren't black belts who could whoop me all over the place. My masters, Master Chung, Mr. Chris, Mr. Dave, I would not want to face them in an actual fight. But with that said, not everybody has learned it as a fighting art. Many of them have learned it just for a simple artistic thing or a hobby thing, and they really don't know the potential in what they're learning. You can learn something without learning how to apply it. So really, that's one way I have connected with that character, Burdep, is through martial arts, knowing an art that was once deadly, but many who learn it today really aren't unlocking the power of. Another way of connecting with another of my characters. Now, this character is not in the Age of Ornon series. He's a character from Domus-Lux, but I have not written his book yet. He is actually referred to a couple times in the Age of Ornon. His name is Lupus, after the Latin word for wolf. Um, while Burdep would be kind of like the character who is in the book called a Vasherite, which is pretty much a Christian in our real world. And he's the guy who is really kind of naturally selfish, but at the same time knows what he should be doing as a Vasherite, and struggles with that. Uh, do I do what I want to do, or do I do what God wants me to do? Lupus is not that sort. He's a mercenary. He's a lowlife. He's a just really not a whole lot of good about him. I would get more into his character, but I don't want to take all day talking to you about it. I'll write that book. How's that sound? Hey. But one thing about this character is he's very secretive. He's an assassin, a spy by trade, and so rather than carry around big swords and things like that, like most people, he prefers to come around with knives and little things that he can hide here, there, and yonder. Have belts here, there, everywhere. Lined with knives so that he can just sneak in and get someone quietly or throw it across, and so on. And once again, this is just for me a way to connect with my characters. I don't know if a lot of you listening are going to get into playing your characters or writing characters, but hey, I found this to be a very effective way of doing that, at least for me. With that said, I hope every one of you had a very Merry Christmas. Alas, it is over, and we must go back to normal life. God bless. Have a Happy New Year.